Okay, gang. Welcome back to part 2 of the Drawbar and 3-point hitch project. As you can see, I've done a little bit since the last we talked to you, and it's been a while, by the way. But there was a lot of machining that needed to be done, and I did a little bit of work on it. But I guess let's do an update first. First thing you'll notice is these ends of these lift arms are out. The end of these lift arms are out of the end of the lift arms. They're held in with, over here, hang on, right here, that pin. Right here, they were held in with this. They came through the lift arm this way, through that hole, through this way. Like that. They were held in with that. And once I got that out, this little, oh, wait a minute. Oh, here it is. It was in my pocket. This little dog was in this hole right here with a roll pin, sat in here like this. You can kind of picture that. And it's spring loaded. There's a spring in here, and it's sprung down, and it catches the top of that notch right there. That notch right there. So it's supposed to have a little piece of cable in it through that hole. There's a little piece of cable that's in that hole, and then there's a hole in the top of the lift arm, and there was a ring on here. You put your thumb in there or your finger in there, you lift up on this latch, which would allow this thing here to slide out on this slot, which was on this pin, and it allowed you to hook up to attachments easier. I really kind of want everything to work, so I wanted to make this latch work. I tried to buy this, but they don't make it aftermarket, and but you could still buy them through Ford. Super handy, but it's like $150. So what we did was I had my dad get that piece of cable out, and he drilled and tapped it, and we put the shoulder bolt in there. So what I'm hoping this bolt is small enough and short enough. I wish I could figure out why my camera is doing that. I'm sorry. I'll figure it out. There's got to be a setting. But anyway, we're going to try to get that bolt to go through this hole in the top of the lift arm right here. And we're going to see if that little bolt will just stick through there. Maybe I can just release the latch with that. So inside there's a couple of new springs. It's dark. You ain't going to see that. So I got a couple of springs to go in there. Here we go again. Maybe I'll pause my video and figure out that setting. But anyway, got a couple of new springs to put in there. The other thing that I did too, this pin, as you can see, is a lot smaller than that latch. Some people say it's supposed to be like that, but when it's in and latched, this lift arm clunking around in the end of the lift arm. So what I decided to do is I had Dad machine out some bushings. Hoping if I grease these up, they'll just kind of roll. They'll just kind of roll along in this slot. And I had to beat the living tar out of this thing to give it out. So I'm quite sure them threads are going to be trashed. So I'm just going to put in I'm just going to bolt this in with a 3/4 inch bolt. I have one laying here somewhere. I don't know where it is. But anyway, I'm just going to put this in. I'll grease this, grease that. That's how I'm going to try to make them work. The other thing we did, the drawbar, which happens to be laying right here, as you can see, has an extra hole in it now. This was the original hole, but if we were to reuse the original hole, you can see that that the side of the drawbar is worn from those bolts, and right here, from here to here, it's worn pretty deep. There's quite a gouge there. So what we did is we measured the thickness of that gouge, and I had my dad move from this hole he made a hole here. That way we're going to slide the drawbar in, and now it's going to sit. We're going to use this part of the drawbar now. I know it's a little shorter, but I still left the original hole. If I ever have to hook up anything with PTO, we'll just drag it out and use that hole. That hole was egg-shaped big time. So I had Dad machine it to get it round. We weren't shooting for any specific size, but we machined it round, and then I had Dad make me a pin. So this is the pin that we made, and it fits in the hole that he made pretty tight. And then he fixed this hole. Unfortunately, it doesn't fit that hole. I don't know if I'd ever push the drawbar in that far. But this pin is bigger than the one that came out. So then, after that, then we had to machine this hole, which is where the drawbar fits, to accept this pin. And by the way, that was egged out badly too, top and bottom. So Dad machined the top and the bottom to fit this pin. So now everything on that end is tight. The other thing we did, sorry guys, I don't know what's going on with that snake. The other thing that we did is these two holes and these two holes, they were egged out really bad, even worse than the drawbar was. So we machined them out to accept 3/4 inch. I'm debating on pros and cons. These are 3/4 inch bolts. I might just drop them in, leave them. I'm also tempted to use pins and just clip them, or not clip them. I mean, we grew up, they were just pins with no clips. Or I might put nuts on those 3/4 inch bolts. But anyway, these holes we measured the width of the drawbar and we moved the holes out. So these holes are not in the original spot. They're actually moved out because bigger pin, smaller hole, that whole thing. But anyway, now the drawbar fits tight in here. The only part that I don't have, and I haven't taken the time to do it yet, is that pin back there, the pin that we made. That slot that the drawbar goes in is a lot bigger than the drawbar, so I got to put a shim back there to keep that end of the drawbar from clunking, and I might do the same down here. Oh, sorry. So I might do the same down here to get the drawbar to not clunk up and down, but I thought I'd get it up in the tractor and figure it out. I got new bolts to hang this thing on the bottom of the tractor. This back hole back here on the bottom of the tractor, the threads are beat up pretty bad up in the tractor, but I got up in there with a light and I cleaned it, and there's still quite a bit of threads way up in there. So I'm hoping I can just use a little bit longer bolt and get up into those threads. If I can get that thing, pretty tight, I'm hoping it's just going to have to work. This tractor's not going to be doing anything real aggressive anymore. Just going to be a parade tractor, and maybe we'll use it at the tractor pull. I'm hoping that'll be fine. The other 3 holes are just fine. The only other thing that I think I'll mention are these. I need to have a way to, here, let me show you. I need to have a way to chain this tractor down to a trailer, because whenever I use this thing, it's going to be hauled everywhere I go. So I welded these hooks onto these plates that my dad machined out, and we're going to stick them right here on the side of the tractor where that spring was, with some new bolts, and then that'll give me the place. It'll give me a place to chain the tractor down. So today's agenda is to get this thing on the back of the tractor. I want to try to change these springs in here and maybe assemble these. The only part I don't have, and me and Dad are still playing around with the engineering of that, is the bracket that bolts in here. I'm sorry, that bolt in here. It had those 2 shackles on it for these chains. It was too short. Me and Dad have debated on just making another one that was longer, but we're also playing around with just maybe making a link that will hook on there just to give it a little more freedom. I'll show you that, so I guess just be patient for now. So I'm going to pause my video, see if I can figure out that setting, why the camera keeps jumping the way it does. That's probably going to take me an hour because of how savvy I am with phones. And then let's, I think the first thing we'll tackle is let's get this thing on the bottom of the tractor. I think that's going to be the biggest pain of all. So I got a little bit of a mess to clean up here, clean up all these tools and stuff. And then let's put that thing on. So be right back. All right. This thing looks pretty heavy. Let me put it on the floor jack. I like that view. I forgot to mention, in the last video I mentioned I was going to cut these rivets and flip this over, but we actually put a flat edge on it, and the drawbar is worn a lot, but this plate right here is only worn a little. And for the work that was going to take, and Dad said that he could easily just machine through this whole thing, just leave it in place. So we opted not to cut that out. Not only that, but that will, we do have the option of moving the drawbar all the way over if we have to. So did not cut that piece out. I did spray those holes. Go. All right, I got the big bolts in. I got a 1/4 inch longer on these bolts. See if I can go up and catch those other threads a little further. I'd like to get as long a bolt as I can in there without bottoming out. So Uncle Ray cleaned up the floor for me. I appreciate that a lot. I'll lay under here and do this. Okay, that bolt on that side started just fine. It's the hole on this right side over here that I'm nervous about. I'm hoping I don't have to mess around with any kind of a Healy coil. On a positive note, I had to use a heck of a breaker bar to get that thing apart. We're not plowing or doing any kind of aggressive farm work with this thing, so if I could get that thing to go in 4 or 5 turns, I'd be happy with that. And I'll just have to make sure we keep it tight. Whoa. Oh man, that socket went all the way over the wall. Okay, so the back ones are snug. I gotta really wrench on them, but I got a long breaker bar over there. I think I'm gonna get them as tight as I could pull, and I'll pull decently hard on the left one, moderately hard on the right one. Inch and 5/16. I don't know what size bolt that is. If somebody knows, comment below. That bolt's the size of my thumb anyway. It's got to be all 7/8 or so. Okay. Next, let's put the drawbar in. I'm going to flip this over because this spot where there's that belly, and I'll put that up. I guess it don't matter because that's going to be further in now. So I guess if anything, maybe I'll just look at the end here where, wagon tongues and things have sat. Oh yeah, this side has got quite a wear in it, so I think I'll put this side up. If I put that side up, it's consistent with that. It doesn't look like this drawbar has ever been flipped, so we will flip it to use new whatever. Put some grease on this pin. Oh, you know what? I'm not going to grease the pin because I still got to build that shim. See if I push down on this. I should just make that shim. The drawbar is pretty short, but for what we're going to do, I don't think it'll matter. If I ever have to hook anything to the PTO, we might have to drag it out, but that's why he had Dad fix the hole in the end. But I don't want to waller out the drawbar anymore, so that's why we're going to shove it in. Wonder how big a shim I need. Okay, drawbar's in. That was about 20 minutes of video. I'm probably going to edit out, but turns out I had an 1/8-inch thick washer that fit the pin perfect. It was like that big around. I wiggled it in on the drawbar. Now we're good. So before I send this thing into service, when I put these down through here, I need to build a little plate that fits over top of the drawbar to take the slop out of this end. Normally would need to get that fussy, but this tractor might actually go on a we do a lot with tractor pulling, and we don't pull this tractor, but this once in a while might be on some track equipment. And if we ever put it on the roller, the wobble wheel roller, that wobble wheel roller, the hitch is real high. It goes up and it'll pull up on this. So every time you take off with it, the drawbar bangs and it's loud. And whoever's driving this is going to get irritated by that loud banging drawbar all the time. So I'm going to get this good and tight that way, just to try to make it a little more user friendly. So while we're sitting right here, why don't we put these chain hooks on? I know they're not painted, but I want to I'll just rattle can the whole back of this tractor someday. The question is, do I have lock washers? I think I might be struggling in the lock washer department a little bit. Supply closet ain't so great in the big bolts. Let me go see if I got bolts. The bolts that came out were holding on a 1/4 inch plate. They're too short, so I'll have to get longer ones. Okay, so as I suspected, bolts, yes. Lock washers, no. But I guess at this point, I'm just curious to see if they're going to fit. So we'll just get them started. I don't know, a few days ago or so, I had a few minutes to kill before dinner. I cleaned out these 4 holes, wire wheeled off the. So no, well, these bolts might be too long. I better run one in. Oh, that's the wrong side. Look what I'm about to do. Sheesh. This one goes on this side. I might have to get bolts too, because the bolts I got that came out of there, by the time you put a lock washer on, are only going to be 4 or 5 threads. So I might have to go get a bolt longer than that, but shorter than that. Well, don't forget, I need a lock washer. So I put this bottom bolt in and it bottomed out. And honestly, a lock washer would probably make that up, but why risk blowing a hole into the back of the hole? So I need to get a bolt shorter than that, longer than that. But anyway, you guys get the idea. I need to get some lock washers. I'm going to go on there, and then when this is on a trailer, just drop a chain in there, go down. Then I don't have to run through here with a chain. I've never been a big fan of the shackle and the drawbar, just one chain, because if it ever comes off, tractor's loose, where if I have 2 connection points here, it'll, one could come loose and the tractor will still be chained down. So I guess for now, lost a bolt. Oh, here it is. I guess for now, I'll have to go down and see Maple Grove. They got a huge selection of bolts down there. I'll take this bolt and this bolt. I guess I could just measure it. but I need one in between them two. So Chewy, if you're watching, I need 4 of these bolts. Like I say, my dad does not have this done yet, the thing that holds these chains. He's actually working on that today. So I think the next thing we're going to do, let's work on these lift arms. Ah, boo. There's a spring in here. Oh, yeah. It's still in there. What about this one? That one's in there too. What if they're fine? Let's try something. Let's just put one together dry. If the springs work, I'm not gonna mess around with trying to change them. So here's the little latch, goes in this hole. So just for the sake of attempting, I'm just gonna get something that'll go through that hole to slide through there. It's supposed to be a roll pin, but for now, here's a 1/4 inch bolt. Goes through there. Let's see, so it goes like this? Or does it go like this? I guess it goes like this. See how it's flat? It's flat and round. I would guess you'd want the flat hitting the top of the lifter. Yeah, there's a sharp edge on the top of this, so this being rounded, the square edge of this is kind of rounded. So we're going to put it in like that. So down. Oh, this spring is working just fine. Let's see if Dad's threaded hole showed up. And it did. Okay. It latches. I can't. How am I going to get it out now? But it works. So I don't have to change the springs in the top. I need to find a roll pin. For this latch here. I need to get the correct length bolt here. Voila, that's going to work good. So, nice job. Dad made me the bushing that's in the slot, and he drilled and tapped the latch. I got to figure out what thread that is. Or I got to see if Dad's got a longer shoulder bolt. It's just the shoulder's too short. So, well, I just went to town, had a slice of pizza, and while I was there, I went and saw my dad, and he had a whole tray of 6mm bolts. So the bolt that he gave me for the latch, that little paw, was too short. So he had a whole handful, and I found one that's just about right. And I threaded it in there. The springs that keep the paw down were intact. You can see they work just fine. So I have this latched in here. This bolt, way too long. It just was the one that was laying here. But I mean, it's latched now. If I unlatch this, out it comes. And goes in pretty easy. So we were able to salvage that. So all I got to do is assemble this. I have bolts. This big long one. I have that bolt. I have roll pins to run through the paw because that's what's supposed to be in it. I don't think I necessarily want to do a bolt there. And then I just got to shorten this 6mm bolt a little bit for this latch. we can put this whole lift arm assembly together. While I was there, my dad had some lock washers for these bolts. It was quite a productive visit. So I'm gonna put those on. Let's get those tight. Yeah, so we'll just keep plugging away here. In fact, I'll do that first. Okay. So these are going to work out really handy when it comes time to tying this thing down to the trailer. Maybe. We'll see. But got them done nonetheless. So, well, while we're here, let's put this let's put this thing back on. Gotta go wire wheel the back of it and get some spray for them holes. Well, back to the drawing board with that. Because the plate that these hooks are welded to is so thick. Now my little bendy thing is hitting the head of this bolt here, so guess I got some revamping to do. I could maybe just bend it a little more. Could just bend it a little more. I could bushing it out, but that does not excite me very much. Having it further away from the tractor, then there's a gap behind there, and that would solve the problem, but I got plenty of bolt. I could do that. Just put a plate behind there. All right, more to come on that. No sense you guys sitting there and watch the smoke roll out of my head. So I got to deal with that. Let's I think what I'm going to do next is let's assemble these lift arms and be done with that. So gotta find the bolts that go in it. I got roll pins I got to get in it. Yada yada yada. Okay. Gone as far as I think I can go with the back. Here's what I did. I forgot to tell you last video, I was working on getting these pins here greased and whatnot. But anyway, I got those pins greased and cotter pinned, both sides. Oh, excuse me. I was able to get the right bolts and the lock washers for these, so now I'll have a good way to chain this tractor down. I got these chains hooked up. Those brackets my dad made, they're just a little too long, and man, this thing got real close to the tire. So what I did was I just installed a couple of bushings back here. I had some round bushings that were the perfect diameter, perfect thickness, and everything. And by moving that thing away from the tractor, gave me just enough here where I don't think I dare get any closer to the tractor. So I might not be totally done with that, because I still don't, let's say you hooked onto an implement that was a little narrower, you still got some sway. So I have an idea about, which is why this bolt right here is not cut off. I might actually put it so the bolt goes the other way, and I might run a chain from this bolt down to a bracket that I would have to build below the axle, kind of like a stabilizer bar. You know, I'm thinking about just doing instead of like an actual link, just do a just a piece of chain and just hook it down there. And you just lengthen and shorten the chain, and I might need that long bolt. So I didn't cut that bolt off because I might need it. These things do work. You just push this little latch forward. I wonder if I could do this one-handed. I'll grab it with my other finger. You pull that latch, and then these lift arms come out, and they go up and down to let you hitch it however you want, and you just slide it in, good to go. So I got a roll pin in it. I might shorten it, I don't know, but I got these little bolts in. They make perfect little latches. So that worked out good. I got on the other end of this drawbar, on the other end of this drawbar, the pin that my dad made, I actually had a washer over in the side room over here, storage closet, right? So I had a washer that actually took up the space on top of the other end. It was an 1/8-inch washer. It was all it needed. It had the perfect ID. That thing was probably 3 or 4 inches around. I was able to slide it up in there, push the pin up through it, and that took care of the play on the other end. Of course, I have the drawbar. You can see it's a little bit shorter, but I have it in that middle hole at the other end, so I have no more in and out play here. These what look like bolts are actually not bolts. I actually cut the threads off. I found some bolts with real long shoulders, and I cut the threads off them, so they barely stick down below the tractor, maybe 3/16 of an inch or so, of an inch or so. And then I put a little bit of a taper on the end of these. So these were bolts, but hacked the threads off. So these are just dropped in there, kind of made pins out of them. I added this little plate right here because even with the other end tight, the drawbar did have some up and down play. But now there is no up and down play. The only play I got is just the slightest little bit side to side here. But when Dad was doing this, I asked him to add about 3/16 of an inch left or right. So he made these two holes a little bit wider than the drawbar because I didn't want to fight to get it out. So the only thing I'm going to do, these holes here, these other 3 holes, which are the holes you would need to, if you're going to move the drawbar here or move it here, for example, these bolts or these pins that I made here won't fit them holes. So I think I'm gonna just so that I got them with me all the time, I might get a couple of pins made for there and just let them ride in the tractor. That way, if you ever had to swing the drawbar over, you could put 2 bolts in them holes, or put a bolt here and put the drawbar over here. So, but I think I'm good to go with the drawbar. These are on and tight. These hold downs. This is tight. I think we're good to go here on the back. I don't believe there's any more I can do with the hitch and the drawbar. Someday down the road, I might want to put a chain to go from here down below the axle. Maybe we'll see. To be honest, I haven't even used the tractor for anything, and I'm already making adjustments. So part 2 of hitch and drawbar is done. We'll end this video here. It's still early enough in the afternoon. I'm going to keep going, but I feel like you guys probably had enough video for today on this one. So I suppose thanks for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe. Would appreciate any comments you want to leave. And I don't know. We'll see you on the next one. Thanks, guys.